Hi everyone, this is Selena Kraus and welcome to another card video. In today's video, I'm featuring the Spellbinders monthly kit of the month for March, and the focus of this kit is Easter and all the things spring. So here are a few cards that I created this kit that will go into how to make them in just a little bit. So here is my 6 card. I have 7 cards to show you today, so this video is a little bit longer than usual. And this is the last card, the cute little white bunny. So now let's go into the content of the kit. The kit comes in this wonderful box that you can keep it to store all the elements that come in the kit. So we have set of note cards, white note cards and envelopes. There is 6x6 pattern paper pad. There's a set of dies. There's some die cuts. There's a stamp set that has a bunch of sentiments, little bunnies, eggshells, bow, Easter eggs. There are little jewels. There's a card with few inspirations how to make cards using this kit. We have some adhesive. We have adhesive tape, and there's foam squares, and there's some stickers here. And then we have some assorted colors of cardstock, including gold foil or gold mirror cardstock. So here are all the colors. We have purple, gray, yellow, the gold, orange, green, mint, pink, and white. So let's take a look at the dies. So we have this oval that gives scalloped frame. We have little grass ears. There are some flowers, leaves, and hip hip hooray sentiment that it's separated in 3. And here are all the die cut elements that come in the package. We have 2 of each, and most of them have gold foil on them. So we have this little banner. They're like bunnies, flowers, Easter eggs, Easter basket. There's little hearts, sentiments. I believe I already said sentiments. There are also butterflies. There are carrots. There are little banners, and here's the Easter basket. We're going to use that one for our first card in just a few moments. So I'm just going quickly through all the things that come in the pack. There are a lot of die cuts in there that you can make bazillion cards. So now I showed you the die cuts. Now let's go through the paper pad. It has 2 of each design. So I'm going quickly. Here's the foil design. We're going to use it for the second card. There's another one we're going to use. And we'll use this one as well, and the next one. It's just very nice patterns and colors. They're perfect for spring, or you can use them all year round. So let's make the first card. So I'm using this little basket, and I have a white note card from the pack underneath. So I'm just picking out some of the egg die cuts that I wanted to use to fill in that basket. So I'm just arranging those to see where I want them to go. The little blue bow, and then a banner sentiment that says Happy Easter. Next, I cut a piece of the pattern paper to 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to adhere all the elements onto it using foam adhesive. I'm just putting everything together to see how it looks on that navy background. I think that looks pretty nice. So this card is completely made of stickers and the pattern paper without any stamping or any die cutting. So I'm removing the adhesive there, the backing of the foam squares, and just add it around the bottom, because on the top of that basket we're gonna adhere the eggs and they go behind the basket. So I wanted to make sure there is space, so I don't need to trim off all the eggs. I just wanted to make sure that it's easier to assemble. So next I'm adhering the bow on top and then just adhering all the eggs. I trim one of them, the largest one, because it didn't fit quite true. I'm just arranging them to see where I want them to go before I adhere them down. So I'm starting with the largest one that goes on the far back, and then I'm going to use some foam squares. For that one I used liquid adhesive, but for the other ones, because I need them to stand out and give them more dimension and more depth to the basket. So each one has different levels, and I'm using foam squares that have different thickness. One are thin, the other one are double the thickness, or you can just layer the foam squares. If they're from the thin ones, you can double them up to have different thickness of them. So next I'm gonna adhere the banner on the basket, and to finish off the card I'm just adhering that panel onto one of the white note cards that comes in the kit. So this finishes up our first card. And now let's move to the second one. I have a butterfly die cut. I have a oval scallop that I die cut using the dies, and then the inside from the same navy card pattern paper that we used in the previous card, and then a little sentiment that comes in the pack of the die cuts. So next I'm trimming down a piece of the pattern paper, the foiled white and gold pattern paper, to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and this covers the entire note card. So I'm gonna adhere it to my note card. Again, I'm using one of the note cards that comes in the kit. Next I'll adhere that gold frame that I die cut using the dies that come in the kit. Again, I'm using strong liquid adhesive. So I'm just adding that, making sure that it's nice and centered. I'm just adding that acrylic block while it dries. And while that dries, I'm adding some foam squares in the back of my butterfly die cut. And this is one of the pre-cut, but like pre-printed and pre-cut die cuts that comes in the kit. Next I'll adhere the oval inside of the frame, making sure it's nice and flush to the frame. And then I'll adhere the butterfly. And to finish off the card, I will adhere the little sentiment that comes again in the die cuts pack that says "with love." Next we can move on the third card using this kit, and I'm using the little bunny ears die cut, and I die cut it twice. Actually just die cut the bottom from the gold foil cardstock, and I'm just trimming out that scallop edge from the ears, and I'll use it as a crown to the ears. Also I saved the insides from the ears that I will color in with alcohol-based markers to fill in those two little holes of the ears. So we'll assemble it like that on our card. But before we go to the assembly, I'm using some alcohol markers, gray and very pale red or coral or salmon, however you want to call the pinkish red, to color in those ears. So I'm using, I assumed it's a white gray bunny. So I'm coloring it with lighter shades of gray, and then I'm coloring the insides of the ears with salmon pink or peach pink or anything that you have on hand that's very pale pink or coral color. So next I'm using some strong liquid adhesive to adhere that gold scallop part to the ears, and just positioning the little pieces of the ears inside. I decided to do some stamping for this card. I'm just pulling out some of the sentiment stamps from the kit. So also I cut in meantime a piece of pattern paper that measures 4¼ by 5½ to cover that entire note card front. Next, I'm using my Misty tool to stamp the sentiment. First I'll stamp Easter and then have a happy. So to make sure that it's nice and straight, I'm using black ink. I'm stamping a couple times to make sure that we have nice coverage. Next, I'm lining up the rest of the sentiment. I'm starting with have a and then happy. Actually, I did not use happy, I used wonderful. So next what we'll do is we're gonna adhere the bunny ears and then adhere the insides. Again, I'm using liquid adhesive. And I had little black ink on the little ear, so I used some sand eraser to clean that up. So now let's just assemble the card. First, for adhering the panel with the sentiment and the bunny ears, I'm using fun foam to adhere it to the pattern paper. And then I'm just going to adhere the pattern paper, the entire panel, to my note card. Again, I use one of the note cards that comes in the kit. So that's our third card. Let's move to the fourth and fifth card, and I'm going to do a little bit more stamping for those two cards, and I'm pulling out the two bunnies and one of the carrots. Then we're going to use as well some sentiments. So I'm going to use my Misty again, and I decided for this one to stamp 3 carrots, and I'm using my Misty to make sure that they're positioned at the same place and they're equal distance from each other. So I'm just doing the first one. I'll stamp 3 carrots. I'm doing the first one in the middle, and then I move my paper left and right and stamp to the left and to the right to have 3 carrots at equal distance. I think that's good. A little bit more. And I'm using alcohol marker friendly ink pad to stamp all the images so we can easily color with alcohol based markers or any other coloring medium of your choice without bleeding. I mean the ink bleeding. So next I'll stamp the sentiment. I'm stamping Happy Easter. So notice that Easter, the R wasn't stamped all the way. So what I did, I positioned my stamp right on top of the sentiment and stamped over again. And it's stamped on the exactly same place. So next, while I have my Misty out, I'm gonna stamp the 2 bunnies. I'm gonna stamp them twice just in case, or if I don't mess up the first images, I have 2 for future use when I need something to a card to make pretty quickly. So they're already stamped. I'll just need to color and cut them out. So because I stamped a couple times, I'm using a heat tool to make sure that that ink is dry before we move on to coloring with our alcohol based markers. So I'm gonna speed up quite a bit here. And I'm coloring again with gray and pale pink or pale coral. And I'm making the bunnies gray, white gray actually. I'm just quickly going around the edges with a darker gray and then kind of adding lighter and lighter gray. And then the edges I will use some of the blender to make sure we have nice transfer between the white and the gray. Next I'll just cut those out. Fussy cut them using my scissors. So I kind of skip bunch of so you don't see me cutting these bunnies. So I'm just finishing up here with the second one and they're done. So to assemble this card, I had a 4¼ by 5½ piece of white cardstock, and I trimmed it onto an angle. And I'll adhere on top of a note card, and then stamp a sentiment in a little heart. I'll make the sentiment, it's parallel with that edge on the right side. I'm using my Misty to make sure that I stamped where I want the sentiment to go. And next I'll add the little heart and use pink ink to stamp that little heart. Next I trim a piece of the pattern paper to 4¼ inches width, and I'm adhering to the bottom of the note card. Here I'm using a top folding note card that I made from white cardstock, and I'm using fun foam to adhere the angled white panel that we stamped the sentiment on. Just adding liquid adhesive on the back and adhering it to my note card. And next we'll just need to adhere the little bunnies, and I'm gonna use combination of fan foam, not fan foam but foam squares and liquid adhesive. So where the bunnies are hanging off that edge, I'll add fan foam because we have dimension from the fan foam. I'll add foam squares, and where they're lying on top of the white panel, I'll add liquid adhesive. So this finishes our 4th card. We are moving to the 5th card with the 3 little carrots. I'm going to use alcohol-based markers again to color in the carrots. I'm just doing quick coloring with the orange and then with green for the stems. So mixing 3 shades of orange, and then I'm just adding just 1 green for the stems. And then I decided to add 1 more, kind of to have a little bit more dimension. So once I'm done with this panel, I'll cut a piece of pattern paper from the kit down to 4¼ by 5½. That will go again directly on top of our note card. And before we do that, I decided to trim my panel to 4 then to 3¾ by 5 inches, so we have more of that blue pattern paper peeking through the back. I'm adhering it to my note card, and then using fun foam I'll adhere the stamped panel. I'm adding the liquid adhesive on the back, and with that our 5th card is done. So now we have 6 and 7, the 2 last cards that I made with this kit. I'm using one of the die cuts from gold foil, and I'm just picking out some flowers from the die cut pack. So I picked out some of the roses. I'm trying to decide which ones I wanted to use. They all have gold foiling on them, so those gold foliage that we die cut will coordinate very nicely. So I avoided to use that large flower, and then I settled it for it. What I'm doing here, I'm just cutting all those branches, and I'll adhere them behind the flowers in the background to add a little bit more of that gold accent. So I'm using foam squares to adhere the flowers onto my card. And then because those are raised up a little bit, there's space to tuck in those little gold branches or leaves. So we have 5 of them. I can adhere them around the flowers. Then I'll add some of the jewels that come in the kit as well. Next, I'm putting my card in my Misty. And then I'm gonna stamp a sentiment using black ink. I'm using the stamps that come in the kit. So stamped Easter. And then I'm just stamping happy. This finishes our 6th card. And I'll adhere that panel onto a white note card that comes in the kit using fun foam. I'm kind of moving quickly here. Those cards are pretty simple and very easy to make, and you can make bazillion cards, as I mentioned already. You can make a bazillion cards from the kit. Well, not literally a bazillion, but you can come up with at least 30 cards. So we are making the last card. I'm using some of the stickers. So I have that die cut with the foliage on the left. We have the little bunny. And then I'm tearing that down, and then I'll add some of the flowers, trying to decide which one I want to use. And this is pretty simple card as well. I just wanted to use that white bunny because he was so cute. So I'm adhering using foam squares to add a little bit more dimension, and then trimming off the excess using my scissors. And then I'm adding sentiment from the same sticker sheet. So I decided to add some foam squares in the back of the sentiment for more dimension, and added some jewels that came in the kit. And then I'm just adhering that panel onto a white note card. So let's take a closer look again at the cards we made. And we made 7 cards, very simple, very quick to make. And again, you can stretch this kit to infinity and back and make a lot of cards as well. There are add-ons available. You can purchase extra jewels or extra paper or extra die cuts, so you can stretch even more this kit. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe now button so you don't miss any future videos and more ideas and inspiration. Also, don't forget to visit my blog. You can have a closer look at the cards we made today on my blog, and as well all the supplies. Actually, the card kit, the link to the card kit is in the description of this video as well. You can find it on my blog. Thanks for watching, and see you soon in another video. Bye!